We caught him. We caught him red-handed. He lied about everything. Definitely lock in, boys and girl, because this is going to be a funny ride. It's not going to be super long, super in-depth, but he lied about everything. And we're going to be making fun of him now. So this over here is Harry Potter and the Denier of Rape. Well known for being the protagonist of the How F*** is Hasan Piker franchise. Truly history's favorite YouTube series. Everyone loves it. It's very appreciated. Definitely check out 460% effed because we are going to be looking into his quote-unquote detention because he quote-unquote got detained by the United States. Now, he lied. He lied about everything, and I called it, and I was right. And I, in fact, pre-watched reality. So this is Hamas Piker. He is the largest leftist political streamer on the internet. In my opinion, he did a Jussie Smollett. I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but essentially, I think he did a hoax to try to take down the Trump administration to some degree. And I hope you're all locked in, because this is going to be a crazy, crazy story, which I think is true. So here is Hamas Piker, a supporter of terrorists, hater of Trump. As you can see, he made 3 videos in the last 2 days. I was detained. Slop tubers are playing with fire because he got detained because of slop tubers, and what everyone got wrong about my detainment. Here are 3 videos that he made in the last 2 days talking about how he got detained. They locked him up for his political opinions. Now, Hasan is very well known for something. He is very well known for essentially saying that even though the United Nations say that Hamas terrorists are rapists, he says, I didn't see no evidence. Pics or it didn't happen, bro. I didn't see nothing. No forensic evidence at all. So I started memeing. Everyone started reporting on how Hasan Piker is the latest example of something we need to talk about. The biggest assault on free speech in the West for 70 years. He was detained. He was detained by customs after all. So I made a tweet. There is still 0 evidence that Hasan was detained. Originally, I said this as a joke because, I mean, hey Hasan, any forensic evidence that you're detained? I don't see any forensic evidence. Anyway, I thought this was very fun. And I felt like, you know what, we should keep memeing, right? So Dan, who will come up again later in this video, Dan says, nobody asked Hasan how much of the 2 hours he was detained was in waiting in line. Sure would be wild if he was detained for 5 minutes, because he's a rich Nepo baby and lost his shit. Epic foreshadowing. And I responded, there is no evidence he was ever detained at all. Pics or it didn't happen. So, of course, every single news site on the planet decided, holy crap, this is a fantastic way to make fun of Trump. The Trump administration is detaining Twitch streamers. Detaining them. Oh my God, I cannot believe they're being detained for freedom of speech. Like, you know, supporting terrorism, which is not freedom of speech. So anyway, everyone started reporting on this, and I started responding to some of them. Hey, there was no evidence of this ever occurring. And the more I started thinking about it, the more I started thinking that I was actually right, and that he did in fact lie. Originally, I said this as a joke, but I do think that it's true. So I started responding to more of them. This is Ken Klippenstein, right, from the Today Show, all right? Feds begin political vetting for American citizens. No evidence of this. Hasan was interrogated at Chicago airport. No evidence of this. There is no evidence that happened. There isn't, by the way. There literally is not evidence this happened. And, you know, I kept going. So this is Derek Martin, another one of these guys. The Trump administration hassling Twitch streamers at customs. And I said, there's no evidence this happened. He said, we can debate whether this recounting of the incident is credible, but the government admits he was taken aside for extra scrutiny. And if you look at what the government admits, the government says, yeah, we asked him questions in an airport. Upon entering the country, this individual is referred for further inspection. A routine, lawful process that occurs daily can apply to any traveler. Once his inspection was complete, he was promptly released. So Hasan claims ICE detained him. This says that a guy that supports multiple U.S. designated terrorist organizations was asked a few questions. So I continued cooking, and in my opinion, Hasan Hamas Diddy Bin Laden Piker himself started getting really sweaty about this. And this is what initially tipped me off. So I have been covering Hasan's lies, bullshit, and terrorist propaganda for quite a while now. Hasan mentioned me several times on stream, not by name, because I am Blue Voldemort. He will never bring me up by name. I'm too dangerous. I'm too dangerous! He can't mention me by name, let alone debate me, which, I mean, I would love, but he's a pussy, so he won't. Now, I have to say, stirring the pot is very fun. And I think Hasan realizes if I keep mentioning to people that there's no evidence, people might realize that there's no evidence. So Hasan responded to me and Derek, saying, this is Hasan himself, the guy, and he responded saying, Derek, you are arguing with an Israel dick rider who watches the pornographic anime of children. His response was calling me a pedophile. Now, good news, I made a full response video that'll probably be out before this video. Not sure if it'll be out before this one or after this one. If it's not out yet, definitely stay tuned for that. I will be responding to his fucking false pedophile allegations against me. For no reason, he decided to call me a pedophile to shut me up and so that reporters stop answering me. How crazy is that, bro? Bro was so fucking sweaty that I was calling out the fact that he was probably lying about his quote-unquote detention that he made 3 separate YouTube videos on. He decided, hey, let's just call him a pedophile instead of, you know, actually debate the claim or provide some sort of evidence. So this is crazy. Actually insane, by the way. I know that we're glossing over this because my entire response, to this shit is a separate video, so we don't need to talk about that right now. I'm just saying, Blue Anime Boy over here is the biggest threat to the biggest leftist streamer on the planet, it seems. So we take this. You must live in his mind rent-free. So he makes believe he doesn't know who I am on his stream. But holy shit, he knows exactly who I am. He is terrified. Again, this is coming from the guy that went to diddy parties and went to brothels in Germany that were raided for sex trafficking children. So anywho, moving on, even Pod Save America, this is a YouTube channel with 12 million subscribers, by the way, I think. Or is that The Daily Show? I'm confusing that with The Daily Show. So The Daily Show also had Hasan on, right, to talk about his unlawful detention, quote unquote. Right, check this out, right? The Daily Show, 12 million subscribers. It's pretty freaking massive. And as you can see right over here, Hasan Piker, progressive king of Twitch, Lamau. I never heard of Asmongold, I guess. And this is essentially an entire video talking about how Hasan was unlawfully detained. This is Pod Save America, another massive fucking platform. I would call them Pod Save Hamas, personally. But look at how they describe it.
What's up?
What's going on, John? Things are not looking too hot right now. How about on your end?
You were briefly a political prisoner?
So they're calling him a political prisoner on different platforms. Now, again, wouldn't it be awful if this was all a lie? If this was a lie and a scam, and he was doing this to not only clout farm for likes on social media, but he also did this to, I don't know, perhaps Jussie Smollett, the Trump administration, to make it look like that they're just arresting people randomly. Even though I think there is grounds to arrest this guy. He supports terrorist organizations. Definitely look into the How Fucked is Hasan Piker franchise to see actual, actionable, verifiable shit. So these people are all demented. I think we've come to the same conclusion. So now, I am going to tear this entire narrative completely apart, all right? And I hope we're all excited to see how torn apart the narrative is. So, I'm going to show you some unbelievable bullshit. I even took down timestamps so I could show you the lies. So, as you can see over here, he said he flew from Charles de Gaulle.
No disrespect to France. I love the country, but Charles de Gaulle Airport is one of the worst in Europe.
Right, so he went from Charles de Gaulle Airport. He basically said when he left, when he arrived. We ended up, Dan Saltman ended up finding the plane ticket. He landed at 4:22. All right, I want to make this clear. He landed at 4:22, according to the actual airline. You will notice, and now we tear the narrative apart little by little. All right, I think here we go. This is the actual plane ticket. I don't know if you can see it or if my VTuber guy's in the way. Hold on. This is the actual airline ticket, and he landed at exactly 4:22 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is exactly precisely when he landed. All right, we're on the same page. This is very fun. It was very nice of him to tell us exactly where the fucking airport, where the airport he left from was. It was very nice of him. I do appreciate him helping us unravel his web of lies and bullshit. All right, next thing. What is the first thing he did when he realized that they were going to be detaining him?
Like family, I'm like, this is happening. I'm texting my manager. You know, I was basically I got Lolo on. I was like, listen, you know, I'm going in. All
right. So he got Lolo on. He's going in. He's about to be quote unquote detained. All right. Are you ready, gamers? He was quote unquote detained. He got Lolo on. Introducing Lolo. Now, as we know, Hasan claims that he is not an anti-Semite. It is probably a complete coincidence that the banner of Lolo, his friend, is the bad thing about the guy is that his dad is Jewish and that he's part of the alphabet media, probably a coincidence. And Lolo made a tweet, immigration attorneys in Chicago, please DM me ASAP, emergency situation, needed potential on-the-ground assistance. So, realistically, this is probably exactly what happened the moment Hasan called him. Hasan called him, he said, I'm going in. He said, I am going in. So he called Lolo, and Lolo makes a post that he needs an immigration attorney because Hasan is going in. Note, this was at 4:58 p.m. Hasan's plane landed. The doors of his plane opened at 4:22. So a half an hour after landing, that means he actually he left the plane, he went to the bathroom maybe, he went to wait online at border security. All right, that's a half an hour later. 4:58. That's when he messaged Lolo. All right, now I'm gonna show you something crazy. He said, "It's okay, I'm out, lol." Do you know when he said this? Right, he claims he was detained for 2 hours, right? Guess when this was posted? 30 minutes later. He was posted 30 minutes later. So he was detained for 30 minutes. I'm just saying. Yeah, he let it slip. Bro was detained for 30 minutes, and he made this entire giant hoax to make it look like the government fucking took him out. In fact, if you look at his thing, it happened. This is at 5:30, the same exact time that this "okay, I'm out" post was made. All right, I got stopped by CBP, the Border Patrol at Global Entry for additional questioning. I'm out. It wasn't that bad. Very strange experience overall. This is at 5:35. This was 5 minutes after he originally posted "okay, I'm out." So now I want to go through his entire web of lies that he spat. Very reliable political commentator, am I right, guys? So anyway, let's go through the lies of his video, because I felt like it would be really fun. Now that we understand that he was probably detained for 30 minutes, I think we should, detained, quote unquote. They asked him questions in an airport, motherfucker. They asked him questions in an airport. Let's look at all of his lies.
Oh, I wait. Finally,
I wait.
This agent comes out.
So this is all of the waiting before he was asked any questions. So in that 30-minute time span, that he was quote unquote detained, a lot of the time was waiting to be asked questions. Interesting.
Says Hasan Piker. I'm like, that's me. Coming with me. I'm like, oh brother, here we go. They take me to this back room.
All right, so note, all of this that happened is before they asked him a single question. All right, the I wait. They took me to a back room shit, making it look like Trump is trying to imprison him because he's a political threat to the nation. Yeah, good shit. Anyway, I thought that was important to mention personally because in this 30 minutes, there was also waiting time. It wasn't even all interrogation time. Here's the next little interesting moment.
To see like what they were trying to take from this conversation. So, you know, instead of just pleading the fifth as I'm supposed to do.
He's claiming he's supposed to plead the fifth. That implies that he's being arrested. There is no evidence that he was ever being arrested. He was not arrested. All right, let's make this clear. You don't plead the fifth if you're not arrested. So this is definitely trying to make it sound like it's one of the most dangerous threats to democracy of all time that they're imprisoning political prisoners. Bro did not need to plead the fifth. On to the next lie. I think this one's very fun.
Depending on how I answer those questions, like I'm going to jail. Because the first stuff was just illegal for him to ask me those questions.
What the frick is an illegal question? You're in the airport, all right? You support multiple United States designated terrorist organizations, okay? You're in the airport. You said America deserved 9/11. They're asking you questions in an airport. There is nothing illegal about that. Stop making it look like your First Amendment right was threatened by the evil Trump administration. All right. Here comes the most actionable lie.
That I'm a stubborn piece of, and you know,
no, that part's true.
Not going to work at all, right? The second half of the conversation was actually like, because he left, went away for like 35 minutes, came back, and then he asked like actionable items. But
all right, so in Hasan's story, he waited before they asked him any questions. Then they asked him questions. Then the guy left him in this fucking dark room for 35 minutes. Then the guy came back to ask him more questions. Meanwhile, this entire ordeal was 30 minutes. The whole ordeal was just 30 minutes. It was from 4:58 to 5:30. That's how long this whole ordeal took, okay? He was on the plane an hour ago. So making it sound like the guy left him in the dark room for 30 minutes. What? This is awesome, bro. I love it so much. Oh my God. Oh, this is fantastic. I have good news at the end of this video, so definitely stick around for the fantastic Hasan news, actually. All right. Anyway, I think it's important to note that, remember, Pod Save America called him a political prisoner, right? So let's see if that's a warranted title.
And I don't know if that's like I got lucky there, because when I asked like, am I free to go? That kind of stopped the process a little bit. And I don't know if that's the reason why I didn't have them look through my phone, but I wasn't.
No, it was because you were free to go, because you were never arrested, because you were never detained, because you were never a political prisoner, because no one ever read you your Miranda rights. You didn't need to plead the fifth. You asked if you were free to go and they let you go because you were never a prisoner of anything at all. okay? Because this is a giant lie scam. Because in my opinion, Hasan Piker is trying to clout grift and trying his best to Jussie Smollett the situation with some race hoax, or where they're trying to crush freedom of speech, essentially as a political move against Trump. And I think it is horrifying that every single news article on the planet decided, hey, let's jump on this story. Onto the final lie of this Hasan video.
Like, what are you talking about? The total runtime of it was like 2 hours.
Yeah, so it was not 2 hours. All right, let's be clear here. It was not 2 hours. There's no fucking way it was 2 hours. And there's no evidence that it was anything, actually. The only evidence that exists is that Border Patrol asked him questions. So he titles this video, I was detained by customs. He made 2 other videos saying he was detained by customs. He 3 videos in total talking about being detained. He went on every talk show he could, talking about how the Trump administration is a threat to freedom of speech. And the funny thing is, in his second video, I think he gets even bolder, because his lie, he actually gets away with his lie. He actually gets even bolder. Look at his second video, where he essentially lies even better.
Why are people behaving as though this is normal when
it is normal to ask you questions in an airport?
The entire reason why this is newsworthy is because it's not normal, okay?
It's newsworthy because it's not normal. And now we find out that, you know, a giant percent of this story is fabricated, in my opinion. Interesting.
There is a reason why every single news outlet wrote about this story. The reason for why every single news outlet on the planet, including international news, wrote about this story is
wow, what a giant hoax. What an unbelievably giant hoax that everyone was happy to jump on just because, you know, it's easy to make fun of Trump. Isn't this crazy?
Because this is new. Okay.
And by the way, you are not going to do this to the Trump administration is not going to be happy about this. One thing that we do know from this entire ordeal of his is that the Trump administration actually does fucking know what he's up to. They do know that he is a supporter of terrorists. They do fucking keep tabs on Hamas Piker. The slop tubers are in fact contributing to the fact that the government is keeping tabs on a terrorist supporting fuck. And I think that's a fantastic thing. This is crazy. I wonder if in a country without freedom of speech, it would be legal to slander the government like this.
Is not something that is normal. That is the whole point. I am so frustrated with the stupidity of the people that have so much motion in the online discourse spaces that just rely on the stupidity of the audience to craft these idiotic arguments.
Look how fucking twisted he is on the idea that people are making fun of him for this. And when you find out that it might even be a lie, it's so much worse. Now look why Hasan talks about why it's important that he made 3 videos on it. And I think this is going to clue you in to exactly what the fuck is going on here.
That they want to deny habeas corpus. This is my job. It happens to be a unique instance where it's not only my job, but it's also something that I have personally experienced. This is not a crash out. This is called political commentary. I know that so many of you are so firmly locked in on drama and slop and can't understand news and commentary.
So this is Hasan essentially saying that this is news and commentary from a lived experience that he had in order to directly slander, in my opinion, slander the government. In my opinion, that's what he's doing. And there's no evidence to the contrary of this. In fact, all the evidence points that what I am saying is in fact correct. He claims it's not a crash out. He claims it's a political commentary from a lived experience, but the actual commentary seems to be wildly wrong. I'm not... Again, if what I'm saying in this video is wrong, and it is proven that I am wrong with this video, I will take it down. Maybe. I'll definitely correct the record. But if you prove to me that I am wrong, I will correct the record. I don't think anyone will. I would rather call me a pedophile than any of that. But yeah. Isn't this good? Isn't this... He's saying that this is his political commentary. It's his job to do it. When in reality, it seems like this is a lie. So Dan made this very, very cool chart. So as you can see over here, he was on Air France. He went from Charles de Gaulle Airport to O'Hare International Airport. As you can see, he landed at 4:22 according to the plane. All right, I showed this to you earlier. 4:22 according to the plane. Very cool, very cool. That's when the doors opened. He gets off the plane and goes to customs. By customs, he texts Lolo when he was waiting for the secondary screening agent. All right, text Lolo at exactly 4:58. Lolo tweets, "Immigration attorneys in Chicago, please DM me." Right? Lolo tweeted this urgently looking for a lawyer. Right? This is exactly at 4:58 p.m. Here, Hasan waited in the CBP designated secondary screening area for his interview. I wait. Finally, the agent comes out. After the first part of his interview, the agent went away for 35 to 40 minutes and the total runtime was 2 hours, but at 5:30, he tweeted he was out. In my opinion, this is completely falsified information. He is making it up. He tried his absolute best to make it look like he was a political prisoner, all right? He's trying his best to make it look like he's a political prisoner. In reality, they are keeping tabs on him. They are watching him, and it's very fun for me. It's probably terrifying for him, and I'm not gonna lie, this is a fantastic example of why Hasan has zero credibility as a political commentator. He's using this hoax, in my opinion it's a hoax, as a political move to give himself likes on the internet, clout on the internet, and in my opinion, trying to take down the government. Or make this as a large point against the government. I'm so excited to see how many more times this gets brought up. So every time you see this brought up, you link them this fucking video, goddammit. You make sure that people know it's a lie. Now, I'm gonna show you something. So this is Destiny, right? Destiny hates Trump, right? He is one of the biggest Trump haters on the planet. He even said that anyone that goes to a Trump rally, he doesn't care if they get shot, okay? That's how much he hates Trump. He hates Trump so much, but even he can't use this against Trump because Hasan is such a liar.
Present this coherently from start to finish. Somebody said, was the questioning 2 hours or everything, including standing in line at security? So Hasan's flight landed, and then the doors opened at 4:22 Eastern time. At 4:22, the doors to his plane opened. From there, he has to leave the plane. He has to walk through to get to immigration. He had to check at the global entry thing and then get pulled aside for additional questioning. So he got pulled aside for additional questioning, did the questioning, and then he was out. And then he tweeted at 5:30, "It's okay, I'm out." So from the doors of his plane opening to him tweeting, "It's okay, I'm out," was an hour and 8 minutes. So realistically, he was probably pulled aside and questioned, like from waiting in the room to talking to the guy and everything, was probably 30 minutes tops.
All right.
No, but he says for.
So that's Destiny. That's Destiny. All right. And this guy hates Trump. He would use anything in his power to come after Trump. But even he's like, bro, holy shit, this is a fucking scam, bro. Now, the reason why I mentioned Jussie Smollett is because I think that is the most classic example of what I'm talking about. Jussie Smollett in 2019 did a hate crime hoax. He told police that he was physically attacked outside his apartment building with the use of racial and homophobic slurs. He was treated at Northwestern Memorial Hospital and was released in good condition later that morning. A subsequent police investigation found that Smollett paid 2 work acquaintances who were brothers to stage the assault. He made a fake race crime to push his political message to the world. He made a giant race hoax. I think that is essentially what Hasan is doing right here. Oh, they put Hasan in custody because he is a political enemy of the country, because he supports terrorists. Freedom of speech is in jeopardy. Oh, freedom of speech. It's just like what happened to Mahmoud Khalil. That's what he said in his video. Definitely check out my video. Hasan is 460% fucked. So essentially, Smollett was charged with a grand jury class 4 felony, filing a false police report. Obviously, Hasan didn't file a police report, but I think it's really important to bring this up, and I'm going to show you why. So this video is Hasan Piker is 285% fucked. That's right. I keep track of how fucked Hasan Piker is at any given time. I made this video on March 18th, 2025. I want to show you a clip because I think he was planning this for a very long time.
I do legitimately believe that the next time I fucking travel out of this country, I feel like I'm cooked.
Oh, say, can you see? So I think it's important to recognize he said this March 18th, almost a month ago. What am I talking about? 2 months ago. He said essentially that I'm not going to be let back in the country. I think he was quote unquote foreshadowing, in my opinion, quote unquote, the hoax that he was planning this entire time. He knows that they're not going to fucking pull him out of line at an airport and some shit. He thinks, in my opinion, I think he was planning this the whole time. Asmongold is bigger than him on stream. He wants something to make people start talking about him positively instead of talking about him negatively. So he drops these little hints about how things are going to be bad. Here's another one. This one's more recent, but here's another example of things are going to be bad.
With anti-Semitism.
Let's go.
I am sorry. After October 7th, this is not about criticism of Israel or the Israeli
Let's go.
government.
I think I'm going to go to jail, by the way. That's like, okay. This might actually cause me to go to jail, low-key, but high-key.
Genocide.
So he keeps making these little hints. Look at that. Look at that. I think I'm going to go to jail. I think I'm not going to be let back into the country. I think this. Hell yeah. Epic foreshadowing. And then it turns out he comes back to the country for the first time, I think, a major flight since then. He gets asked a couple of questions in the airport because, of course, they're keeping tabs on the guy that fucking said America deserved 9/11 and supports multiple different United States designated terrorist organizations. And in my opinion, he decided, I am going to Jussie Smollett this whole thing. And he made up an entire lie about how this all went, making it sound like he's detained. He gets all these news articles to talk about how Trump is fucking imprisoning people, how they're imprisoning people for freedom of speech. The Trump administration is a fascist, authoritarian dictatorship, like he said in his video. And I think this is very fun. Bro wants to be a martyr so fucking badly, just like the terrorists that he finds so much wholesomeness to support. Thank you so much for watching this video. I thought this was relatively short by the standards of how fucked is Hasan Piker franchise, but I think it is an incredibly important video to make. I welcome all your conspiracy theories in the comment section below. Bro wanted some clout, and he got it in the most despicable way possible, through a hoax. Thanks so much for joining. See you in the next one. Bye. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, man.